Welcome back to MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things magic. In today's video, we are going to add the next 20 creature cards with converted mana costs of 5 right into our Momir Vig Cube. What's up, MTGBC? That is the MTG Burgeoning community. Welcome back for another installment of our ongoing Momir Vig Cube series. If you are unfamiliar with the goals of this series, you can search in the description below for the link to MTG Burgeoning's introduction to the Momir Vig Cube. While down there, you can also click on the link to Cube Cobra, where you can view the entirety of the contents right now. So, with that being said, let's get right to creature number 1 of 20 with a mana value of 5. We're going mono red. We're going Frenetic Ogre, a 2/3 with the ability to pay a red mana to discard a card at random from our hand to give Frenetic Ogre +3/+0 until end of turn. Is it worth getting rid of one of those valuable lands in our hand just for a temporary boost to a 2/3 body? Well, as we're going to see, and we've already seen many times throughout this series, not every creature in the Momir Vig Cube is uber powerful or uber helpful. Sticking with mono red, we're going to go with Frenzied Saddle Brute. It's a 5/4 with haste. Fantastic ability right there, particularly in a format that's dominated by combat. All creatures can attack our opponents and planeswalkers our opponents control as though those creatures had haste. So let's clean this up a little bit, because in Momir Vig there are no planeswalkers. Everything is just creatures. There's no instants, there's no sorceries. We're only dealing with creatures. So for the purposes of Frenzied Saddle Brute, this 5/4 haster will give all creatures our opponents control haste as long as they're attacking their opponents. Not us, though. They cannot touch us. They have to be our opponents being attacked by our opponents. Very nice combat chicanery there. If only they could be forced to do that. That would be sweet. All right, multicolored card here with Galloping Lizrog. We got a 3/3 with Trample, and when it ETBs, we may remove any number of +1/+1 counters from among creatures we control, and if we do, we put twice that many onto the Galloping Lizrog. There is a pretty strong +1/+1 counter theme woven into this Momir Vig Cube. If you're fortunate enough to get a few of those cards on your side of the battlefield, and then Galloping Lizrog comes thereafter, well, you may just have a game-winning creature. Next up in our first colorless edition here, we have Gearsmith Guardian. It's 3/5, but it's going to get +2/+0 if we control a blue creature. So its ceiling is a 5/5 for 5 mana. That's not too shabby as long as you have that blue creature. Creature number 5, mono white, we have Geist Honored Monk. Its vigilance, its power, and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures we control. When Geist Honored Monk ETBs, we create 2 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying. Wow, so on its floor, if we have no other creatures on the battlefield when we summon Geist Honored Monk from the Momir Vig Cube, we have a 3/3 with vigilance and 2 1/1 spirit creature tokens with flying. That is a fantastic investment for 5 mana. And if we're lucky enough to have any other creatures during our previous 4 to 5 turns, well, Geist Honored Monk could be one of those creatures that brings us victory in the jaws of all of our other opponents trying to get it too. All right, creature card number 6. We have another mono white edition. We have Gerard Capuchin. 3/4 at the beginning of our upkeep. We gain 1 life for each card in target opponent's hand. Not terrible, considering that each player begins Momir Vig with 24 life. More importantly, however, we can pay 3 and a white to tap target creature, and we can play this ability only if Gerard is attacking. So we have the ability to survey a battlefield of our opponents, send Gerard into combat, tap down one of their creatures, making sure that the numbers are in our favor, so they either have to block down or take 3 points of combat damage. That can only happen if you've got those white mana sources, so MTGBC, make sure you've got those plains in your basic land deck. Another mono white addition, we have Geyser Glider, a 4/4 with the landfall mechanic, and whenever a land enters the battlefield under our control, Geyser Glider gains flying until end of turn. That is extremely valuable because every card we draw is going to be a land. Playing a land will give this flying, and we send a 4/4 into combat. If it connects just one time, it reduces our opponent's life total 1/6 from its starting point. Next up, we have a mono green edition. It is Gigantosaurus. There's not much to talk about here, folks. It's a 10/10. That is all, a 10/10. And this is in the 5 spot. All right, mono black, its first addition to this video, we have Gilt Leaf Winnower. It's a 4/3 with menace. When it ETBs, we may destroy target non-elf creature whose power and toughness aren't equal. So yes, there's going to be a little bit of restriction here. I mean, there's going to be plenty of non-elf creatures on the battlefield. As long as their power and toughness aren't equal, Gilt Leaf Winnower is going to come down and pop one of them right off of the battlefield. Creature number 10, as we hit the halfway point of this video, it's another mono green edition. We have Glinting Creeper. It's a 0/0, so it's going to ETB with 2+1/+1 counters on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. So just think about that. If you are savvy enough to put all sorts of different basic lands into your basic land deck. We're talking regular basics, snow basics. If you are fortunate enough to have 1 mana of every color when you send 5 mana into the Momir Visionary Avatar, you're going to get a 10/10 because you'll get 2+1/+1 counters on it for each color of mana used to cast it. 5 times 2 equals 10. That's going to be a 10/10. That is our Gigantosaurus. However, Glinting Creeper can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. So if it's up to your opponents to chump block your massive Glinting Creeper throughout the entire game, they're going to be in for a rude awakening because the investment in those creatures are going to be far more than just your 1/1s or your 2/1s. All right, starting off the second half of this video, we have Glorifier of Dusk, a 4/4. We can pay 2 life to give it flying, and we can pay 2 life to give it vigilance. So for the investment of 4 life, we can keep the 4/4 untapped and send 4 evasive damage right into our opponent's face, as long as they don't have any way to block our creature with evasion. You gotta watch though, we only begin with 24 life, so you don't want to throw life around too much when you're trying to activate Glorifier of Dusk's activated abilities. Creature number 12 and another mono red edition, we have Glorybringer. It's a 4/4 dragon with flying and haste. Whenever it attacks, we may exert it. When we exert a creature, it doesn't untap during our next untap step. If we so choose to exert Glorybringer when it attacks, it will deal 4 damage to target non-dragon creature an opponent controls. In a format like Momir Vig, where there are no instants or sorcery spells, any type of creature removal could be highly advantageous, so exerting Glorybringer seems like it could be something that would be done very often in a game. All right, next creature up, and another mono red edition, we have Goblin Assassin. It's a 2/2 whenever it or another goblin comes into play, and we have a lot of goblins in this Momir Vig Cube, folks. So whenever it or one of those other whenever this or one of those other goblin comes into play, each player will flip a coin. Each player whose coin comes up tails will sacrifice a creature. So this is creature removal with a few more hurdles to jump through. However, it could dance around protection and shroud and hexproof. All right, next up we have God Eternal Oketra, 3/6 with double strike. Whenever we cast a creature spell, we're going to create a 4/4 black zombie warrior creature token with vigilance. This is going to be ridiculously powerful in a format like Momir Vig. If we have God Eternal Oketra out in play, any creature card that we summon, any copy of a creature that we summon from the Momir Vig Cube is also going to result in a 4/4 black zombie warrior creature token with vigilance. In a format that is dominated by creatures that can create other creatures, particularly powerful creatures like Oketra, are so valuable to have that I dare say Oketra may not be one of the most valuable 5-drops in this entire cube. She may be one of the most valuable creatures in the entire cube. Now, we're going to completely ignore its death trigger because these are token copies of creatures once they're summoned from the Momir Vig Cube. And whenever a token leaves the battlefield, it ceases to exist. So we're not going to have any exile abilities with Oketra when it dies, because, again, tokens, when they leave the battlefield, they cease to exist. All right, creature number 15, another colorless edition. We have Golem Artisan. It's a 3/3. We can pay 2 to give target artifact creature +1/+1 until end of turn. Or we can pay 2, and we can pay 2 either or, and target artifact creature gains your choice of flying, trample, or haste until end of turn. So with enough mana in play, we could create quite a problem with Golem Artisan. We can give it the evasion of flying, we can give it haste right away if we have the mana for it. Giving it trample allows valuable damage to be dealt over creatures affecting our opponent's life totals. Golem Artisan could be a very sneaky 5-drop in this Momir Vig Cube. Next up, number 16, we have Grothama All-Devouring. It's a 10/8, and other creatures have, whenever this creature attacks, you may have it fight Grothama All-Devouring. When Grothama leaves the battlefield, each player draws cards equal to the amount of damage dealt to Grothama this turn by sources they control. So this is going to cause all kinds of, I can just see all kinds of combat shenanigans or ETB shenanigans. This is just going to be a ridiculous card to have out on a table of Momir Vig, because who knows what's going to happen with its ability. Next up, we have Guardian of Tizima, 4/5 flyer with the landfall mechanic, and whenever a land ETB is under our control, we're going to tap target creature an opponent controls. If the land is an island, however, that creature will not untap during its controller's next untap step. So we have a massive flyer, so we've got the big evasion creature that we love to have in combat. Plus, we have the defensiveness of putting a land into play and tapping down one of our other opponent's creatures. And if the MTG BC adds islands to those basic land decks, well, that creature's not going to untap during their next untap phase. All right, creature number 18, mono white. We have Guardian of the Gateless. It is a 3/3 flyer. It can block any number of creatures, and it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each creature it's blocking. So if you are planning to send 8 1/1 tokens at me and I have Guardian of the Gateless, every one of those tokens are going to die, and Guardian of the Gateless will stay at 3/3. Well, it will be an 11/11, but it will block each and every one of those 1/1 tokens, and it will still be alive because those tokens are only 1/1. All right, creature number 19, another multicolored creature. We have Harbinger of the Hunt, a 5/3 flyer. There's that evasion that we crave in this format. Pay 2 in a red. It deals 1 damage to each creature without flying. Pay 2 in a green. It deals 1 damage to each other creature with flying. So if you've got those mountains and you've got those forests, then you have the potential to wipe some boards as long as you've got those lands in your basic land deck. And creature number 20, we began with mono red, we will end with mono red. And here we have a Hellkite Whelp. It's a 3/3 flyer, and whenever it attacks, it will deal 1 damage to target creature defending player controls. If there are some mana dorks out there or some other creatures that may be causing some trouble or controversy in the game because of their activated or triggered abilities, we can send Hellkite Whelp into battle, and hopefully we can ping those creatures and send them right off of the battlefield. And there we have it, MTGBC. Another 20 cards into the Momir Vig Cube. Let me know which are your favorites in the comment section below. This is MTG Burgeoning. your channel for all things magic.